I was born in Pallier, near Wollongong. My parents still live in the same house. They've been there for 65 years. I went to school in Wollongong. I was very lucky. I got great parents who've been married for, I think, 65 years. My father got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. My mother got him up at 4 o'clock in the morning, got his breakfast ready, and he went off to work so that he could put my sister and I through private schools. I absolutely loved cars, and I still love cars to this day. And I was very lucky because I got an apprenticeship with Rolls-Royce dealer in Sydney. And I worked for Rolls-Royce and Mercedes for the first 14 years of my working career. And I was lucky enough to get the award for New South Wales Apprentice of the Year when I finished my apprenticeship. And the New South Wales government paid for me to go to England for a year. And I worked at the Rolls-Royce factory in 1988-89, which was just incredible because I was working in all the different departments in the factory. And one of the areas that I worked in for a period was the chauffeur school, where the drivers come from all over the world to be trained to drive the Rolls-Royce cars and Bentley cars for their clients. Now, some of the people that came to the chauffeur schools were the Queen of England's chauffeurs. They were her drivers. They were all ex-military people, and we spent a week with them. They had to learn lots of things. For example, for terrorism, they have to look underneath the cars every morning to make sure that there are no bombs there hidden under the cars, and there's all sorts of things. And also the principal of the training school at Rolls-Royce, who I'm still friends with to this day, he said, before you go back, I need an assistant to go with me to the Geneva Motor Show. You need to drive a Bentley Turbo from the Bentley and Rolls-Royce factory, which is in Crewe in England, which is 200 miles north of London. We need to drive that through all the way down to the English Channel, hop on a hovercraft with the car, drove all the way through France, and then we got into Switzerland, and then we went to Geneva Motor Show, went to Lucerne. We did a training course for the Rolls-Royce mechanics in Switzerland, and then we drove back to England a week later. I think we got it up to around 150 miles an hour. It was an amazing trip, and I was only a young man. So I was so lucky to do all of these things. It really changed my life. And I got back to Australia, I was so keen to get back into work. But one of the things I learned when I was at Rolls-Royce over there was I was told in the experimental department where I worked for a while that eventually they'll have cars that don't need much servicing. So they said, your job will actually get taken over because with the technology, you won't be required to do much, just oil changes and things like that. So I started to think, boy, I've done all this training and I might be going to lose my job due to technology changes. That was back in a long time ago, 1989. So when I got back to Australia, I asked my boss if I could get into the sales department because I thought that won't get affected as badly with technology changes and my job can probably stay. So he said, yeah, he'll organise it. I started in the sales department as we went into the big recession. It wasn't a lot happening, but I got lucky and I sold a car on my first day at Rolls-Royce in sales. That gave me confidence and I just found I loved it. I loved working in sales. Because I knew the cars really well and I used to service the cars, it gave me a big advantage when I was selling them. I learned product knowledge is a big thing. And I then caught the train up and down from Wollongong every day. And that meant I had about 4 hours a day to spare. So I thought I'll use the time productively. And I did the real estate course. It took me 3 years, 2 nights a week. I had to go to Wollongong TAFE. So I would finish work and I'd go down to the TAFE and I would study. And then I would get home very late, around 9 o'clock, and then get up very early the next morning at about 4:30, get on the train and get back up to Sydney. But I'd study all the way on the train, all the way there, all the way back. One of my clients told me that I should get into selling the houses because I was selling the expensive cars and might as well sell the expensive houses. It's the same clients. And I moved into selling real estate in 1997 and I've never looked back. It's just been great. So that client actually told me to get into real estate. A few years ago, I sold a property for them for $95 million and I still deal with them. It's been wonderful. And I think it will just continue to keep doing business and have a great relationship. When I first started in real estate in 1997, it was a big career change because at that time, I was the #1 salesperson in Australia for Mercedes-Benz. So I was doing really well selling the cars. I remember standing on the street in Vaucluse when I first started, and I was starting to shake because I thought, have I made a big mistake here? And I thought, no matter what, I'm going to stay in this for 3 years. I'm going to work as hard as I can. The first year when I was in real estate, it was really tough because the market turned down as I got into the industry. We had the stock market crash. It was very, very hard. But I turned it into an advantage because there was a lot of properties that hadn't sold, not through myself, but through other agents, and they were sitting around. And so I was ringing them up and I was saying, look, I know your house hasn't sold. Would you please give me the opportunity to work on the sale, because I've been able to successfully represent Rolls-Royce and Mercedes at a high level, and I believe I could represent you with your house to a similar standard. And a lot of them would give me their houses to sell. I remember writing my first proposal for a sale of a property in Dromalbin Road, Bellevue Hill, and it took me 8 hours to write the proposal for the sale. And I remember we had a reserve of $1.2 million, and it sold for over $1.5 million at the auction. It was just the most wonderful feeling. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And I thought, if I can do it once, I can do it again. I just have to repeat exactly what I was doing as far as the level of service that I gave to clients. It turned out to be the correct way to do it. It was just keep working. One of the houses I sold for over $7 million. And it was the third most expensive house sold that year in Australia. There was a lot of publicity around that sale. And as soon as that happened, business just took off. Then after about 1 year, I realized that I was getting momentum and it was going okay. I realized it's very important to always get the very best price you can for all of your clients and keep a very good reputation. Because people know each other and they all talk, and if you've got a good name, it leads to more business. You never compromise your integrity, always do the best you can for everyone you deal with. And if you do that, long term, you'll always do well.